Do not ask me what happened. It's funny, I was all excited about getting back. Okay. Yeah. The technology guys didn't like that when I said that. Alright, so we're going to lay out some lines here and get started on this page. And there you go. Oh, interesting. I wonder if I can change the view a touch or not. Okay. Woo-hoo. Is that any better? Awesome sauce. So this section is what's called the prologue. We decided that the story is so complex that it needs a little intro section to kind of lay out everything that's happening in the story, like the backstory. And it gets into, I mean, it goes as far back as Mesopotamia and events on other planets that happened before, I don't know when. I mean, it's fictional, but you know, like in like an ancient timeline, let's just say. So that brings a really great depth to the mythology of the comic and the characters. I think there's enough, how do I say, it's both serious and comedic, you know. Some of the plot points and dialogue and all that. The dialogue's very catchy, just in and of itself. But the concepts are very deep, actually. So, and there's a lot going on. I mean, alien civilizations and all of this kind of backstory that ties into contemporary politics, which, you know, there's this whole ancient aliens thing going on right now in pop culture, and I think, like, just today I saw a video of a UFO flying over, I believe, the White House. And I mean, to me, you can just look it up. I'm sure you'll find it. But, and it's like going real slow. It's got these red lights. It's clearly meant to be seen. It is not like, you know, some sort of accident. But, those of us who are well read up on the UFO lore and history, etc., know about the government owning UFO technologies. Therefore, it could just be another, you know, propaganda psyop of some kind. Let's take a quick look at our guests here. I'm going to turn the music down a hair. So, we got Hippocratic Oath is here. All right. Yo. Violence is Life is here. Yes. What is he playing? House beats. It's a kind of it's like dark house. That's what you might call it. Mom, Donnie's drawing comic books again. Yeah. Music is washing out the audio a bit. I turned it down. It was quite loud before, so yeah. Anyway, let's get back to the action. Let's maybe we'll zoom in, kind of look at some panels here. Yeah, the ancient aliens topic is pretty interesting. Um, what's wild is that I can remember a time when you wouldn't dare talk about it. It's just you didn't want people to think you were weird. And then you might find some people who are knowledgeable or curious, and then you could share, what you know, compare what you know, etc. But now it's just so out there, it's just so totally out there. Tucker Carlson's talking about it. I'm never really impressed when he talks about it, but it's just that he's that kind of what's the word, like a cultural political barometer. Like if he can talk about it, it's okay to talk about it. See, we need permission to talk about things. We're the country of freedom. Yeah, free speech. It's just, yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry. I have like no tolerance for like just stupidity, I guess. But I guess that kind of makes me look very arrogant and kind of like an asshole. Oh, but it tries my patience. I don't know. I think my expectations are too high. Like, why the hell should people know about this stuff? Like, people are just trying to friggin' survive out there. They've got their jobs and their shit, whatever, their families, school, rent, whatever. Leave them alone. Anytime I feel like compelled to share any information with my family or sort of like people I went to high school with and such, I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta show them this. And then I'll go, no, stop, And then I'm like, oh no, you can't, because they might get upset. Don't make me think. And you're being divisive. That this kind of, it's like, I think like the biggest problem is that we've just fallen so far, like we don't, I don't know, I don't want to turn this into like a complaining stream, or whatever, but it is what it is. I guess that's what you say when you're like, I just can't. Anyway, listening to some Dark House with Donald Kent. And we are in the presence of a small g god here, forging a sword with his hammer. It's a kind of a Vulcan, not from Star Trek Vulcan, but the actual mythology of the Vulcan. Sort of, I don't know what planet this is on. What planet is this on? Venus? I've forgotten the script. So the pages are getting sent to the colorist, and we're going to get that off and running. I don't know if I could maybe get permission to do like a sort of a feature of this book where I can show you guys finished pages, that's colored with the text. I think that would be a pretty cool thing. I think a lot of people would like to see, get a sense of the story. That's a concept. Did anybody see The Northman? It was a pretty famous movie. I believe it came out last summer. I don't know, famous is the word I'm looking for, but it's the most historically accurate representation of Viking life. Um, there's a what do you call it, documentary on it where it talks about how they had anthropologists on set, and made sure that everything was handcrafted in the way that would have been done in these Viking times. It's also interesting too to note that the Vikings had settlements like all over, like Iceland and different areas. I think one part of the story is in England, and it's going way back. It's not like, it's Viking times. So the end of the story, the two main characters have their final sword fight on a volcanic mountain, and the lava and then the light and I mean it's just crazy dramatic. It's super dramatic. It's really well done. And it's based on some type of actual historic story. I mean, when you're going that far back, you kind of sort of have to wonder, like, how much of it is history and how much of it is legend. You know what I'm saying? So that's fine, but it is based on the literature that exists about this particular so-called historic story. And then it gets into, I'd say, that kind of like, maybe the Viking, I don't want to use the word spiritual, but like cosmological view of ancestors and fate and Valhalla and the spirits. It's profound. I mean, that's why I love it so much, is that I feel really connected to that, and I get a sense of, like, I don't know, pride, I suppose, in the connection to ancestors, that type of thing. So something to look into. My Bigfoot encounter, should I talk? I personally never had a Bigfoot encounter. I've seen lots of footage. I just saw some really good footage today, actually. It's not supposed to be. Oh well. Anyway, I did see a UFO. I saw some interesting sky phenomenon, for lack of a better term. The first time I saw, I'll just call it a UFO simply because it was an unidentified flying object. Okay, don't know if it's an alien thing or whatever, or it could have been some kind of like meteor type activity. I can't, space junk from like things floating in orbit. So this is many years ago. I was in my 20s, and I was out at a beach with my then girlfriend, and we were sort of like a beach party type thing, and we stepped away from the campfire and went for a walk down the beach, and there was this really neat kind of like gigantic rock structure that we climbed up on and laid down and looked at the stars. It was just a lovely little romantic time thing, whatever, just very enjoyable. And so we're just, and since it's on the beach, what have you, there's no city lights to kind of interfere, with anything. You could see the sky was just filled with stars, just gorgeous. And we're just relaxing and enjoying it. And I did notice at one point a very, very faint star, very far up in the sky, like very small, but it was moving. And it was moving on like a curve, very slowly, but it was like a definite curve. And I thought, it could be like a really high flying airplane. And I brought my girlfriend's attention to it. I said, hey, look, I think, look at that. What's that? So we both had our eyes locked on it and we're just watching it. And I'm thinking, I don't know that it could be a plane because for one, it seems really high. Secondly, it's not blinking like, they have those blinking lights. And then why is it traveling on a curve, on like an arc? It doesn't seem weird to you, And then all of a sudden, the thing stopped, and then it started to like glow and enlarge. And we were like, what in the heck, And then it sort of enlarged quickly, and then all these other lights flew off of it, and they kind of like went in these like very bizarre patterns that looked, it didn't make any sense at all. There were just squiggly, weird patterns, and they all kind of shot off, and the central light just disappeared. And so this is long before I've ever even researched UFOs, so I had no idea what it could be. I've seen lots of footage of things similar to that now. So it's not that kind of, whatever that is not not unpopular, what's the word? Uncommon, sorry. So maybe I saw something, maybe I saw something there. And since it was so far away, I kind of feel like I can't, I don't know. I'm just like, I have like a healthy skepticism is pretty much what I'm saying about that, but we both saw it together though. And so like we go right back to the campfire and we're like, we just saw a UFO, what? No, talk about, and so it was it was just kind of fun how we just, told everybody about it, and they were like pretty flipped out, like, holy shit, what the hell? It was very bizarre, but wonderful, So other things, just, at one point I had a buddy who demonstrated to me that one of the lights that I saw going across the sky was actually a satellite, and that there is, like, NASA has a satellite tracker app or website, and you can type in like the time and location, and it'll show you where they are. And sure enough, that was a satellite that went overhead. So there's a lot of them. There's a ton of them. You can even like say like, oh, it's 11:29, and it's gonna be flying overhead now. Let's go outside and look. So you can even spot them. They're not hard or impossible to see. But like I had mentioned on a previous show, the metal ball was the most amazing one. That was very amazing. Anyway, so let's I gotta get some tools here. See what you guys are talking about. I don't see anything there. Okay. So one of the cool Bigfoot videos that I recently saw, maybe a little skeptical of this, because I presume there's probably different species of them, and they don't all have the same physiognomy. They might not all look the same, This one had a very, very human face. The most human face of all of them that I've seen yet. but I mean, like he was like throwing trees. So like, I don't know that a man could throw trees exactly. You know, I'm not. It's a little hard to see or tell the scale of these things, though. You know, like how big are these trees and what you know what I'm saying. So you can still be skeptical, um, but had a very very human like face. Um, I wouldn't say that he looked, say, like African or something, but it had sort of like Caucasian features, but the skin was black, whatever that means, you know. Um, Kind of a tall head, like his I don't know, not conical, but maybe it was it's probably mostly hair, I would say, I guess. Sorry, I gotta fix this little thing that needs fixing. That's gotta be parallel. It's gotta look right. Otherwise, it ain't no good. So, should I give it some style? Maybe I will. It's slightly more of a Marvel Comics Hammer and Mjolnir. Perhaps. But yeah, I'm just excited about getting this the prologue out there and then getting back to the regular pages. What else? I got some other freelance work that just came in as well. That's huge, but I can't talk about it because client privilege, you know, that kind of thing. So this here is my number one job, if you will. Like I really, I mean, personally, I'm more interested in it, but I just feel more dedicated to this. I don't know how else to explain it. So. The other one is it's good money, but it's not something that is part of my art career in the sense of like, you know, I wouldn't put it on the Donald Kent website, is what I'm saying. Um, and I have this other freelance client that I haven't gotten back to. So he's a TV writer producer. He's got a pitch for Netflix, and he wants me to do the storyboards for the project. How likely he is to the get his story turned into a Netflix series, I'm not really sure. I can't like I just can't gauge that. But I also feel like it's one of those things where if you're on the inside, you know, you're already on the inside, and you know people, and you know what I'm saying. Like it's probably yes. You know what I'm saying? Like you're probably, you know what I mean. It's like, you know, one of the club kind of thing, you know. And I've mentioned this to, you know, friends in this sphere of ours, and they were kind of like, "Be careful," you know. And you know, just saying things like, you know, you're gonna have to go to Epstein's Island or something if you want that job. You know, I don't think it's that. It's not that, and obviously I wouldn't. But like I'm just saying, you know, I mean, you would have to keep it on your radar. If that actually really, you know, I really got on the inside of like Netflix and doing, you know, working for them somehow. I don't know that you work for Netflix. I think you work for the production crew that you're working on. You know, whatever the show is. Um, I don't even know how it works, to be honest with you. So whatever. But yeah, I'm not worried about it. So I gotta draw some lava here. What about you guys? What's on your minds this fine evening? Um, yeah, I see a lot going on in the chat right now. So let's see. Mm. Let's see what we got here. I'll probably do it like that. I think it'll be fine. It's good getting freelance work, you know. Yes, I do have my own project that I wish I could be doing, but it's just it's like a what do you do situation, you know, like I'm getting paid nicely, you know, and I'm not complaining. I love what I do on this project. It's just a sort of a simple, my project's gonna have to wait, you know. I don't want to say that. I don't know what else to do. I actually would not mind hiring someone to illustrate my comic book, you know, I mean, just to get it out there, you know. That would be fun. Somebody in Comicsgate. How about that? So, I don't know what you guys know about or what you're following regarding the tunnels in New York City and what's happening with that. I feel like I don't know. I mean, it's bizarre to even see it. It's like I thought these people were protected. How is this on the news? You know, like that. How is it that we're seeing dozens of arrests? I forget the name of the particular temple. Chabad something. You know, it's one of the big ones. It seems to be, you know, there's, how can I say, it appears that there's some nefarious activity going on in their underground tunnels under their synagogue. The soiled mattress, the baby chair, like a high chair that you would feed a baby on. You know what I'm talking about? Like, what the fuck is that doing down there? Some wild stuff going on. Very disturbing things, to be honest. So there you go. Another day in their world. I don't know. It's just trippy how, like, the more you get to know about, like, what's actually going on in and around the world, the weirder things are. Like, you're just sort of caught in this bizarre reality of, like, you know, nobody knows what I know, you know, and not nobody, obviously there's people that do, but and people are just kind of going about their merry lives, not realizing that they're like ants in a kind of, you know, socially engineered anthill, you know. And what do you do? And there's this whole, like, you know, we're going to vote our way out of this, and we're going to use the system that is completely infiltrated and rigged to save ourselves. And and then you're just like, okay, did I get that bill paid this month? Is it can I afford this one other thing? Oh shit, I just lost insurance. So what do I run around, run around, run around. You know, keep the rats in the race. Keep the rats running. So we got a comment or two here. What does it say? You should add Bob Ross to your stream description. That's a great concept. That'd get a lot of hits. Howdy and hail from Splattercat. Yes. Let the splattering begin. Hippocratic Oath says, I listened to David's explanation and I totally believe it it's all an innocent misunderstanding. They just wanted to expand their property. Yeah. Oh, sure. I mean, you knew they were going to be like scrambling to like, oh shit, we've got to cover this up. We've got to come up with some, excuses. We've got to convince people to believe some bullshit, like what you just said. But I don't know. I do not know. What can I tell you? You either know or you don't know. You're either in on it or it's on you. The joke is on you. Oh, I can remember years ago, when I lived in New York City, I happened to be in Times Square, and when I lived in New York City, I didn't really frequent Times Square. It's just very touristy, very crowded. I never really had any kind of interest in it, I don't remember why I was there, but ended up just kind of snooping around, checking out different shops and stuff, going in. And one was like a place that had just all kinds of technology items and various things. I thought, I'll pop in here and, I think I might have been waiting for somebody. That's probably what it was. And I'm just kind of killing time, so whatever. And I go in, and you get in the door, and then there's a sort of like a kind of a metal detector security thing that you gotta walk through. And then I noticed once you're in, you're like locked in. You're sort of stuck in there. And then they have a very path that you have to walk on, and all the stuff that they're selling is kind of under lock and key. And I was like, what the hell is this place? I've never been in this store that you feel like they assume that you're gonna steal stuff, and then it made me kind of realize, wow, well, it's Times Square. If there's any kind of riffraff coming in here, and they could just grab something and run. So I kind of, I sort of kind of get that. And then you had to leave through the same type of thing. Like that, they wouldn't. The door was locked. Like you couldn't just walk out. You had to be let out. And then that's when I felt like this is fucking creepy. Like I don't like being locked in a store. If I want to get out, I want to, But you get the general idea. So, but then the weirder thing about it is that I noticed the whole thing was run by Hasidic Jews. Like all of them, and they're all dressed exactly the same way, the same haircut, the beard, the whole thing. And they're yelling at the customers, haggling with them, but like their haggling is like verbal abuse. This is kind of yelling, and I was just really quickly like, I want to get the fuck out of here. Like this is a very weird environment. I'm not buying anything, so I'm just gonna kind of try to squeeze around these people and get the fuck out, And I think one of them even said something to me like, are you gonna buy anything? And I just said, no, just looking. I was polite, And they sneered at me like really, really badly, like like I was some kind of piece of shit. It was they were just very rude. And I thought, I was at the time like, whoa, whoa, you're not supposed to be rude to the customers, like it's just naive and whatever. And I was just so happy to get out. They kind of kicked me out, basically. You're not going to buy anything? Get the fuck out of here, like that kind of thing. It's awful. But whatever. That's my one Hasidic story that I have. I don't have any other ones. I got lots of stories, but not that kind. I was wondering what stories I can tell. What would be fun to tell? I'm not sure that you guys would be totally interested in all of them, like things I did in Asia or whatever. But I really right now, like what's kind of coming to mind. So I think I mentioned on another stream, I'm setting up a show with Nullis. I really want to try to recapture the energy of the White Art Collective when we started out. Now that's never going to happen. It's never going to be the same. But to have a fun variety show on a weekly basis where everybody can come and enjoy and be there live mostly. And then that being the case, I see there's some, looks like maybe there's a couple comments I got. Let me take a look at that first here. Let's see. Splattercat says the synagogue statement was hilarious. They threw their own people under the bus. Yeah, there was like some youngster was rambunctious or something, silly things like that. What was the official reason? Oh, those rowdy youths. Yeah, exactly. So there you go. I could have read one more. It's like in England right now, they have a story. Mark Collette is doing, he just did a story on it today where like the news said something like, British teens have the highest rate of rape, and they give the numbers, and it's just hideous, and we're like, what? British teens, give me a break. It's the fucking Muslims, it's the Africans, it's the illegals, it's the migrants. Anyway, moving on. Just typical Zionist shenanigans. Duvid said it was the Israeli Hasids versus the local Hasids. Yeah, right, whatever. Wouldn't surprise me at all. The Israeli Hasids have the title, but the locals own the building. I figured he was throwing dust in the air to distract naturally. British teens, yeah. Yeah, again, it's like when when you know. And like these, in our eyes, they got caught red-handed. But to the ignorant public, they're just too, I don't know. I don't want to insult normies. I really don't want to. But it's so hard not to. What are you gonna do? Oh man, like I was saying, I was on a stream on Tuesday, doing my stream with Patriarch, Patriotic Art Live, and we had a new guest on there. I forget his name, Charles or something. But anyway, he asked me what's my method for red pilling the normies, specifically on like white identity issues. And then I just gave a kind of a little speech, about like these are the things that I do. But one of the key points I was trying to make was that it's all about conformity. It's all about conformity. Like if uh, let's say if Tucker Carlson had Jared Taylor on Fox News tomorrow, and I know he's not on Fox News, but I'm just making an analogy. Or what other guys on Fox News? Any one of those people. If they had David Duke on, or or what's his name, Joel Davis, or Mark Collette. I mean, if any one of our guys got to be on mainstream news to have like a real thorough discussion about our cause, all of our statistics, all of our talking points, the whole culture of what we are and what we do, the history of it all. I mean, and it became okay to talk about because, you know, it's now normal. The Overton window has moved far enough. Then all those normies wouldn't necessarily be normies anymore. They'd be like, oh yeah, these are just, everybody knows this is what it is, Would things change? And I think maybe yes. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like just knowing the truth doesn't change the truth, doesn't change the system. It doesn't get rid of the deep state. It doesn't deport people that should be deported, enemies of the state, all that stuff. Like that's a whole other can of meat. That's pretty rough. Another cup of tea. I like how this is coming. I really need to be working more with shadows. I don't do that enough. I'm digging this music. You guys liking this? All right, I'll have to do it this way. British teens, exactly. The typical citizen sees them as the can't do wrong group. It's always just a coincidence, right? You red pill through art and culture. That's my opinion, anyways. That's a big thing what you just said there, because like I serve our community. Like, I don't know that anyone outside our community would get what I do or like what I do, but I feel like our community alone is a major target for what I'm trying to do. I think that people understand my work in history. After I'm gone, after the war is over, and people look back and say, who did what? Did you cower in your bunker? Did you work for the other side? Did you just care about your paycheck? Did you fight, in any way, shape, or form? And I hope that people will remember me as someone who, just by virtue of being an artist, took it upon myself to care about the culture and to. I think there's a certain, I don't know what to call it, but like the health of our culture is critical. We have to have some staying power. Like, for starters, if you got this far, you're very fucking strong. You're very, very strong. But you're probably also very exhausted too. And probably traumatized, by your family, your friends, the system. You know, you're another breed of man or woman in many cases. So like, you deserve, some arts and culture that's designed for you. And obviously I'm not the only one out here doing this, but it's something I'm dedicated to. I really want to do more though. Like, I would love it if my work were mainstream. Of course I would love that. I'm always thinking about what can I do that pushes the boundaries, that almost has like an activist type quality to it, without putting my family and I in any kind of danger. You know what I'm saying? you know how they always get you. You know, they always get you with like one fucking thing or another, and they're always trying to just stop. You know, just be quiet. Just fade away. Just don't anymore. You know, just disappear, white man. You know, and even our own people are telling us to do that. You know, because if you're out there fighting and you're succeeding and you're making a name for yourself and you're changing the world one way or another to some degree or another, then they feel like shit about themselves because they're failures. They might have, you know, oh, look at all my tattoos and look at all my, you know, I don't know, accolades of whatever I've done in my time or this or that or whatever they think makes them powerful. But if you're not fighting this fight, you know, I mean, I should, that's not an entirely fair thing to say because a lot of people don't even know what this fight is. Some people still think we're voting our way out of this, you know. Let's try to zoom in a bit more with this one. These are hard to do because they got all these tiny, tiny lines. Anyway, let me move on here. Let's see, it was present. Oh, you guys are cooking. I can't keep up with you guys. Israeli is a typical citizen. It's just as I already read that. Notice that it has become easier to speak everyday white folks about this. A little out of time. True. The Overton one was totally shifting. The lefties are doing our job for us. I know. Agreed, you do. Our people are great. So, oh, thank you. The artists are never appreciated in their own time. Yeah, I know. It was brought in, I was brought in when I was 18. That was 22 years ago. I've always looked for art from our people, and it's not easy to find because the artists don't want to put themselves out there. It's a combination of a lot of things. It's like, one, you have to have the kind of education, I suppose, that I have. And it's not like I went to college for this, you know what I mean? It's just that I put in a lot of time reading, researching, you know, visiting various blogs, vlogs, having people on my show who are more knowledgeable than I am about things like fascism or anything and everything, you know. And, you know, over time building up that knowledge base, then, of course, having some kind of talent or skill, and then the inclination to do it, you know. There's I'd say that there's a lot of like writers and vloggers in our sphere that wish they were artists, you know, that like they're writing, vlogging, whatever, that's their art, that's like their contribution, that's the thing that they're able to do. Artists, musicians, they're, you know, how do I say this, like, how do I put this, they're moody creatures, you know, like, it's not always the easy thing to write a song or something, you know, or make a piece of work. You know, and there's people that have left the scene, you know, that have disappeared. They got harassed a lot, and then they just like they buckled, you know. I don't blame them. I don't, you know, I'm not like insulting them or whatever. A lot of them are my friends, but it's not easy to do this. Again, it always depends on how far did you go. Like, you know, how popular are you? What is the scale of your reach? And like the more, obviously, the bigger you get, the more attention you get, and then the more they come after you. You know what I'm saying? So it's rough, you know, in that regard. But as far as I see it, like, there's really nothing else to do. Like, this is what's happening in our time. You know, if you think about artists that made history, if you will. It's because they responded to their era, their epoch, or whatever, the thing that was happening in their time. Granted, history is written by the victor, and it's going to be maybe the wrong people who are famous, especially regarding World War II. I look at things like Mark Chagall, like, the fuck, you know, why the fuck does this matter? Like, I don't, just shit like that annoys me, But anyway, just don't go too far, I guess, on all that stuff. But anyway, oh, is it? Is this fuzzy? Can you see that, or is that? Is that? Let me check. It doesn't look like it's focusing. Can you guys see that okay? Like on my phone, I see it okay, but I've got my YouTube screen open and it doesn't look very clear. Let me read some comments. You guys are cooking the wooden spreads. Israelis, we did that. I've noticed that it's becoming easier. We did that. All roads lead to Rome. Have them start with. Was brought in, and we did that. Have them start with Roman history, and the rest can catch on from there. Yeah, that's a long class. Looks clear. Okay, good. Good. But what period of Roman history are we in? 395 AD, 78 BC. If we are in 78, then there will be an imperial resurgence. If there's nothing that can be done. So, yeah, it's funny because some people are like, oh, you shouldn't, fantasize about the past or whatever. And I don't think that way. I think it's fine to have like a nostalgia of the past or what have you. It energizes us. It gives us a focus. It connects us to our ancestors. No, we're not gonna, replicate the past exactly as it was or whatever. I don't think anybody believes that. But I don't think there's anything wrong with that nostalgia thing, Yeah. I don't know if this is the right marker. I'm wondering if I should use a different one. This is, believe it or not, a little thick. Even though it's very fine, it's thicker. Oops. What number is this? That's a 20, or no, that's an 02. Let's see what we can get out here. Oh, too big. I need like super crazy thin. So yeah, I guess if I wanted to sort of make a bigger impact on a kind of very grand scale, as an artist, I think I would need to have an art world that supports me, that, you know what I'm saying, that gets the message out of whatever it is I do. I just kind of think about, say, like Banksy. Do you guys know who Banksy is? And he's this anonymous guy who does sort of something like graffiti art. It's not graffiti, but he does it on public buildings. And it is art in the sense of like there's images of people and there's something identifiable there. There's a kind of a, they're really like, to be honest, they're sort of like little illustrations that you might see on Facebook, you know, like there's like one of the famous ones is a guy that looks like a protester with a mask on, and he looks like he's about to throw a Molotov cocktail, but instead it's a bouquet of flowers. You know, oh, isn't that sweet? You know, and he's like, oh, it's Banksy. He's so radical. Wow, look how he's challenging norms and la la. That's just marketing. That's just fucking marketing. You know, there's just some fruitcake, you know, writing for a magazine or a blog somewhere saying like, you know, trying to make it look like it's special when in fact it's okay. You know, it isn't bad, but it's just okay, you know. So, you know, that's fine and dandy, but like, you know, should I be doing that? Maybe that's what I should be doing. Maybe I should get out there and do some kind of like public art, you know. I did have the idea of printing out memes, like the kind of memes that you would see on Twitter that are like, you know, ridiculously against, you know, community standards, you know. I think you know the guy I'm talking about. And like slapping those on like wherever, you know, like anywhere and everywhere, you know, like drive-throughs and anywhere, you know, because like you do see stickers of things like, you know, I don't know, like come see my band at this place and this, you know, it's sort of a punk rock kind of thing. But what, you know, like, you know, we are the true punk rock now, you know. So there's a thought, you know, stickers are not like permanent. They can be taken down so there's no damage to anyone's property. You know what I mean? And what you would want really is that people would take photos of it and then share that on social media. And so like, holy shit, look what I found, you know, at the Tim Hortons drive-through or at the bank or something, you know. Because in a way it's getting around, you know, Facebook and what have you. It's getting around these things. That's not a bad idea, and you know, entirely. It's certainly not something that I alone could do, but like everybody could be doing, you know. I guess the thing of it would be is to make original art and then put that in like sticker form. You know what I mean? And then of course have like, you know, like I guess I don't know if I would want to put Donald Kent on there. You know what I'm trying to say. Um, I don't know. It's something worth thinking about or talking about. I think that there's something there. Um, so in my city, there is a organization. I'm sure most big cities have this, and essentially it helps you to get grants for art production. They even help you with like getting insurance, and as an artist, if you're like trying to live or make yourself like a pro artist, supposedly there's insurance for artists and shit. But again, you know how it is. You know how it works. It's all feminists in there, and they're all only giving the jobs to people of color and homosexuals. That's like how they destroy the patriarchy. Um, anyway, I guess I have had the notion of like, just, shut up and go do it. Like, just go do it. Just get in there, apply for shit, find out what works for you, what could work for you. Um, you know what I mean? Like try something. Like, just try something. Um, the problem of it is the fucking time investment. It's like, if I know these bitches are not gonna like grant me money or help me to be successful, then why should I put the time in? And then there's also the kind of like, if I'm doing explicitly pro-white material, am I putting a target on myself? So what do you do? Side of me is like, I don't care, I want to do this. Like I'm very stupid in that way. I'm very stubborn. Um, but I sort of feel like that's kind of what you got to do if you want success, in a sense. Um, I'm sure there's some great conversation going on, but I'm really trying to focus on this. Maybe I'll check it in a bit. I feel like I'm also entering a mode of like, maybe I'm gonna take a break from clubbing for a while. Um, I'm not like against it or anything. I don't have any like aversion, but it's just more of the mindset of like, I'm just gonna work. I'm gonna kind of do me, you know. Um, I'm really mad at myself because I haven't been working out recently, and I think that attributes to getting like depressed and shit as well. I feel, I mean, you can see the connection, obviously, right? You get all these great jobs, and it's taking up a lot of work. You work a full-time job, you come home, and then you're working in the studio. You get how that you can see how it's like, oh well, you're not exercising, Um, mm, that's why I have to do this full time. Okay. Hmm. All right, I'll check the chats. See what you guys are saying. Um, oh yeah. Julian the Apostate, and the last emperor, to try to and restore the pagan gods, but he was going upstream against the flood. Mark Brahman would be sad. You guys probably know Mark Brahman's a close friend of mine. He was on the Christmas show. We did a comic together called The Seraph, and it's on Amazon. If you go to my website, kent-art.weebly.com, which is in the description of my YouTube, you can click a link. You go to the comic section, click on The Seraph, and it'll take you right to the book, the comic book. It's only in ebook format. It's like, meaning it's not for print, but you can download it to your computer or your phone. And I strongly recommend you do that. It's probably very cheap as well. Hippocratic Oath. Banksy artwork was stolen less than an hour after unveiling in South London in December. Migrants. That's so fucking classic. I'm loving how the migrants are just like cannibalizing their masters. Oaf says our surf on the tweet campaign ban the ADL. Good one. That'd be a good one. Attach your art to it and hope it catches. There's a concept right there. Splattercat says I agree. His art is definitely good enough to attract attention. Banksy or Kent? But you know what? Maybe I'll take a second to show you a little. This is not finished, but I'm gonna zoom out. Wrong direction. And show you the piece I was working on for the Tuesday show. I have to finish this. All of these are going to end up going in my next book, so I'll have another book of art coming out. But the theme for the Tuesday show, Patriotic Art Live, was Our Blood, Our Soul. And so the concept of connecting our blood to our ancestry, I had this idea of a family here, as you see in the center, and then these are essentially ghosts of the parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, ancestors, on and on. And then in the foreground, I had the concept of a Roman guard and a German National Socialist guard, both with shields and spears, to kind of link together the past and the present per se. It's not the present, but to link that history together, to be unabashed about protecting your people, and that being an explicit theme in here, and that through protecting your people, you're protecting your progeny, your future, but you're also honoring your ancestors, and that we can and should tap into the energy and pray for our ancestors, ask them for assistance in our lifetime. Also, the kind of image of the two landscapes being something like Europe and America. For me, it could be Europe and South Africa, or Europe and Australia, or something like that. And then the multiple suns passing in the sky, obviously representing this passage of time. So when this piece is done, I think it's going to be really, really beautiful. And the theme of it, I think, is very powerful. So there you go. Tune into the Tuesday shows. And then Patriarch did a really beautiful digital piece on that as well. So Great Blood and Soil image, I can see Uncle Adolf as being our Julian the Apostate. Interesting. One last chance at restoration. I'd buy a print of that once it's done. There's another side of me. It's like I don't spend enough time trying to sell my work. I'm always just work. Now, granted, I'm getting paid for this, but You know, what I would urge you to do is to visit my site and take a look at the book Imperium Calling, where you can, it's a book of art and poetry. Um, Again, it's in the link is on the cover of this YouTube. I don't know what to call it, like the homepage of this YouTube. Um, and it's got a lot of really nice work in there. A lot of unseen work as well. A lot of the poetry is poetry I read on Nellis's Conversation with the Wind. But then there's also some new stuff. So if you're a fan of Donald Kent, that book is a must-have. Indeedy. So this scene right here, this is all lava. I think I mentioned that before. So I'm sort of trying to show the lava bubbling up a bit. If I ever make it to Iceland, I'm definitely going to be checking out some of those lava pits. I feel like I could live in Iceland. Like I could be happy there, you know? It's probably crazy to do that though, just because it's probably gonna be cold as hell and I hate the cold. But it just, to me, it's one of those, like, I romanticize these things, you know? Ah, Don. When will you ever live in reality? Yeah, I think if you do, you're kind of not really an artist, actually. You know, who's to say whose reality? So, kind of noodling around a lot with this page. It's the opening page of the book, so I feel like it needs to be detailed and engaging. Obviously there's huge amounts of empty space and there's quite a lot of text that like describes, in this age this happened, in that age that happened, and the things kind of led us up to today. If you can see in the last two panels, you have this I guess I would say maybe he's a rabbi in the desert with a snake around his staff, and then here you have a Hollywood producer and he's giving directions. And so what could possibly be the connection between those things? What is the connection? It's funny, I just realized, like, the thing I said earlier about, like, not going clubbing. I'm thinking, that's like, if you're not exercising, that's the only form of exercise you're getting, so maybe you better go clubbing. But I think a big part of it is The cold kind of shuts me down a bit. I need to kind of get over that. It's like, look, it's fucking winter. You gotta get through it, you know. Yeah. But yeah, I do like I like the idea of having some kind of art activism. You know, I don't know quite what that can be at the moment. I mean, I'm really mostly caught up with like the stuff I'm doing now, like what you see, you know. But yeah, yeah, that would be a good thing to do. Um, Stickers are one thing, right? Like it's a thing, right? We're all fairly familiar with people going out and doing stickers, you know, that whole thing. But if it were a form of art, though, I guess it's kind of the thought that comes to mind is to make make art that is in the form of stickers, and then I don't know. It depends on what it is that the stickers are saying. So, like, if it were, say, you know, something that was a little tongue in cheek that kind of made people question things, you know, but wasn't like overtly JQ or something. I don't know if it, depending on how subtle it was. Like I could put my web address on and do, but that's almost more like marketing, and I'm not. That's not really. I'm not trying to grift off of this. You know what I mean? I probably should be, but I'm not. Well, that's funny because that's the thing about Banksy is that he's anonymous. You know, I guess you know people probably at first were thinking like, oh, you know, get your shit off of my, you know, off my building or whatever. Like it's what do you call it, vandalism. You know, but now people wish that they had it on their building because they can sell it for like some $1 million or something. You know. Um, all right, let's see what sort of chatter is going on here. Sticker art similar to your blood and soil image you showed must just a bit ago would actually be great in sticker form. So, you know, I guess what I was thinking were stickers that are, you know, like bumper sticker max, that like the size that would be the max, and or closer to just like really like 5x5, so that you kind of have to be close enough to see it, something you put on a stop sign, and that when people are waiting at the stop sign, they have no choice but to see it. You know what I'm saying? Um, yeah, you get the idea. It's almost more intimate that way. You know what I mean? Whereas like standing over a highway with a giant banner, that's not. I mean, that's not a bad thing, but I'm just saying that's not what I'm talking about. I guess what I could probably do is like hire like a business consultant or something to say like, okay, I'm gonna look at what you're doing with your channel and then come up with some ideas for how you can monetize it, how you can, make more of a living from it, at least supplementally, without compromising my values, obviously. So in this image, these characters are supposed to be looking like they're smoking peyote, and you don't smoke peyote, but like that was what I was told in the description of it. So, years ago, I knew a guy in Brooklyn who had a peyote plant, and I knew what it was. I had read about it, but I'd never seen it, and I was like, he's got a lot of plants in his loft, real nice loft in Brooklyn, and so it's not unusual to see, like, say, a cactus among all these plants that he's got. And I go, what's this? And I'm like, oh, that's peyote. Well, there was a piece of it broken off, and I'm like, this is broken. Like, what happened here? Oh no, that's peyote. You break off a button and you eat it or something. I hear it's super, super strong. Like crazy super strong. I've never had it. They say you need like a shaman to do that kind of stuff. Like it's too strong to just do by yourself. So I found a new guy on YouTube that I really like. Christopher Smith. Is that his name? Christopher. It sounds like he could be Scottish. And he's just a guy. He put out at least, I don't know, 1 or 2 books, and it's all kind of on the stuff esoteric stuff that I'm into. So it's really neat to find like a Scottish guy that is really, like other level. Like he's you can clearly see that he's broken through in some way, like on a very powerful spiritual level. So um, I suppose if you don't know what that would look like, it would be hard to identify that. But um, I would say that this guy sounds like he has. He's just giving me a lot of answers that I've been looking for. Um, a lot of what he says makes total sense to me based on everything that I have been doing and struggling with, researching, working on, Um, really, I just discovered him. I haven't really gone through like all of his videos or whatever, but I could actually take a quick peek on YouTube and perhaps find his name. Maybe later. It's work time. So let's check it out here. Are the peyote guys Native Americans? Absolutely, definitely, yes. And the plant is more native to like out west, Nevada, New Mexico, that kind of the Plains Indians. Yes, it's not like what's that other stuff? Ayahuasca. That's more South America, Peru, something like that. I don't know that I would really find any value in that. If I were meeting spirits or something, that I think would be cool. I wish that's something I'd like to do, but I'm not terribly attracted to the idea. I don't knock it, and that it's probably good for some people, but it's just not appealing to me. All right, let's do this here. Should I make that? I think I will. Yeah, I just had an idea. I don't know, I feel like I'm being boring tonight. I should have some funny stories to tell, or some shocking stories to tell. Tell you about all my girlfriends I've had in the past. I was very promiscuous as a young man. Good thing I'm ugly now. No, I can't be that. No, I'm kidding. Or am I? So yeah, just on that topic about arts, activism, etc. So, right, I appreciate your input on that. It actually, I need your input on that. I need people who follow my content to give me more input. You guys are in a class all your own and highly intelligent folks, so I definitely want to hear what you have to say. So I've been just thinking about how much I love and admire people like Mark Collette or Josh Neal, or any number of these guys out there that are doing the hard work. And there's a side of me that's like, we've got enough of those guys. We don't need any more of them. I shouldn't be trying to do what they do. I don't think I could do as well as them. Maybe not. Maybe I could. I have done a lot of that kind of work on my channel. Everything to do with white identitarian issues, consciousness, culture, all of it. I've done a bunch of that stuff. So But again, it's like I was born an artist, so this is something I should be doing, right? But it's nobody's ever done this before. There's no like guidebook. There's no instruction manual. You kind of have to figure it out and say, well, what can I do that's powerful, meaningful, effective? How can I actually make change? I know for sure that I can entertain and educate and the community and be of service in that regard, which is a great thing. But I want more. I want more and more and more. I want to have a bigger impact, you know? Um, so like this discussion about like say doing art stickers, for example, that's cool. That's a fun concept. I feel like it actually is worth pursuing. Um, I talked about on one of my shows about getting my local library to start a white identity book section. And I sent off the inquiries. I haven't heard anything back. Go wonder, go figure, And so I'm gonna get to that. I feel like I have like so many things on my plate, but that's something I want to pursue. That's almost more of like a thing that NJP should be doing. You know what I mean? Like they do a lot of public works, activism of some black guy stabs a 5-year-old boy in the neck and like gets off, and so they'll go do a protest in the town. The kind of work that they do. Drawing fire is very very tricky. Like it's actually very gaseous. It's not. I can draw it as a solid. Like the kind of fire you'd see painted on the side of a motorcycle or something. But and it's got a beautiful amorphic quality to it. Anyway. So what else? Native Americans usually have problems growing thick beards unless you go to California. Yeah, no, I misunderstood you. These guys are not Native Americans in the story. No, they're meant to be like Persians, actually. I just in the plot, these cactuses are meant to be something like peyote. So I'm sorry I didn't clarify that. Oh my god. All right, let's move on. So yeah, when you do projects like this, you get really caught up in the world of the story, which is a neat experience because you're the one visualizing it. You're the one bringing it to life. And I have a lot of like chats with the writer about the characters, what they should look like, various details that he wants that have specific symbolism. This graphic novel has massive amounts of Easter eggs and symbolism. So I think people who are, what's the word I'm looking for? People that are in the know they're gonna see these things and they're gonna say, this is definitely intentional. Like, what is the author trying to say here? And then that will compel them to read the whole story, and then piece together the narrative, which is very cool stuff. And it's got a lot of Easter eggs for our guys. It's not, like a full-blown dissident right kind of book or something, all the characters in some way relate to memes or influencers in our sphere. There's a lot. It's just really packed with info in that regard. All right, check the chat. That Levite with the snake and everybody bowing reminds me of recent medical tyranny. Yeah. A lot of it is like, I know that the author wants me to not be too, don't let the cat out of the bag kind of too much or whatever, so like I'm holding back a lot. I would say, people who use their knowledge of things are going to be able to see, like, wow, that I caught that symbolism, or I caught that particular meaning, whatever that is. So the medical symbolism there is not a mistake. There's little things I can tell you. Plugs into a much broader problem topic. So I'm sorry I gotta be vague about that. With my with what's his name, Militiaman, I don't have to be so secretive. So this marker is like a hair thin. It's insanely thin. I'll zoom in a bit and see how well you guys can see that. Things in the distance are harder to perceive. They're harder to see. So I'm trying to use less line work, make it more understated. And you figure when someone's looking at a comic book, it's even smaller than what you're seeing here, kind of have to get into the zone when you're doing this type of fine line work as well. So there's this dojo that I went to check out. There's a guy that teaches kung fu there, and I thought about possibly taking the classes because it's in the same lineage of the kung fu that I have done, and so it would be, you know, I mean, it's like if you studied French and you found a French class, then you know, it would make sense for you to go take that class, right? So I'm not learning a whole new martial art. Um, and the school itself it's like a karate jiu-jitsu school. So they're very, very, and they're like, it's like mixed martial arts, you know, it has like, it's that whole, the family that kicks together sticks together, you know, that type of corporate culture, you know, which I despise. Um, but they do have that guy, and it's got my style, and not my style, but it's a related style. Um, anyway, suffice to say, I went in, I checked it out, I looked at the curriculum, and he's being forced to like squeeze kung fu into like a karate curriculum style, like an American karate curriculum style. And it's like, you know, belt 1, belt 2, you know, white belt, yellow belt, da da da. There's no belts in kung fu. That's like a marketing thing. And you know, so like I'm like, ah, shit. So not only that, like I'm at a state where like I really just want to spar. I don't want to, you know, I'm trying to improve on what I know rather than, you know, pile on more and more and more knowledge on top of it. I have enough, you know. So initially I did ask the guy, would you be up for sparring, or is there any kind of sparring at your school? And schools just, they don't like that. They just, they I mean, I don't blame them because they don't know who you are, and it's just not, apparently it's just not part of anybody's curriculum anymore. I don't know. Years ago, I had another friend who started a kung fu school, and I helped him out. He's kind of a shyster, but you know, I didn't really realize that until too late. But whatever. Um, at least he was fun, you know. To like he had quote sparring, but they weren't sparring in the regard of like, you know, he had a ring, and then he would, you know, get a whistle, and he, you know, he put on your equipment, and he'd have like, hey, okay, enter in the center and go, you know, and it really looked a lot more like a backyard MMA boxing bonanza type, you know. It was competitive, and you know, people get hurt in those situations. People get knocked out. People get injured, and then, you know, they have these injuries for the rest of their life. You know, that's not the sparring I'm talking about. I don't think a lot of guys even know what I'm talking about anymore because I can't seem to find anyone who understands how to spar without injuring each other. Anyway, at the time, this is long before I had a sparring club and I really got into those things. So I, I went in a couple times and quote sparred, which is really sort of like sport fighting, according to the way he was running it. And I had some good experiences. This isn't like a bragging thing, but like when you put someone who is more advanced with someone who's not, it's not hard to beat them, and so it's not really a fair thing. It's good for me in the sense of like I can kind of, you know, help this person to improve or something. I don't know how that's good for me, but like I do like to help people. But then you get the cases of like, assholes that want to like hurt you and stuff like that. So then you have really no choice but to like go harder than normal and end up like, giving them a bloody nose or just doing something that if you're at someone's business and you're punching somebody, you don't want to put them in any kind of legal trouble, but whatever. I guess it's like, oh, don't be a pussy or something, right? There were some fun times though, and it's not all winning. Like you learn from losing. You know what I mean? You have to. Nobody's perfect. There's no like. That's just a joke. That's just some kind of like Hollywood fantasy bullshit. Nobody's perfect. Okay, let's check the chat here. I don't even how I got off on that topic. That symbol also represents Israel's betrayal. Assyrian king Sennacherib mocked Hezekiel for keeping an altar to that snake while removing Yahweh's altar. Hezekiel, if I'm pronouncing that right, quickly removed the snake altar. Wow. Fascinating. I wasn't aware of that. Splattercat says, we spar in HEMA. Tell me what is HEMA with blunted steel weapons, but we have to make it through a sort of basic training so that they know we're not going to just go berserk. What does HEMA stand for? Is it some kind of Filipino stick fighting thing? I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying that because like blunted weapons, like they're famous for their stick fighting. Anyway, it'd be interesting to know. Oh yeah, so the reason I guess I brought all this up is I asked the owner of the dojo about doing some sparring, and he's a businessman. He's not. It's either you pay or go. Like he's not interested in letting people grow. It's not like that. Had to try though. The other part of it is just I miss sparring. I suppose I could. It's at this point. It's really all about space. It's winter. You gotta have a space. You know what I mean? With someone you trust, of course. I guess we could do winter sparring. So something interesting in comic book news. Paul Dano, who played the Riddler in the last Batman film, I guess he's writing a comic book on the Riddler now. It's pretty neat. It's nice to see a crossover, you know, between what he's doing, what he did on the film, and actually getting into the comics. Pretty cool. I have to check that out. It was kind of interesting. He had an interesting comment. He said that, like, playing that character was, I guess, like, really taxing on him, like, mentally or something, that he was kind of, I don't know. I think it's interesting when actors, like, take their roles so seriously that they, like, become the person. You know, like Daniel Day-Lewis is famous for that. Um, Pretty interesting. So that's pretty interesting. Am I boring you guys? Should I be talking about something radical? Seems like I get kind of focused on the work a bit, you know.
This is gonna be so good.
All right. All right, and then this one. This is coming out nicely. I got one little funky thing here. It's funny how when your eyes are trained for it, you see like the tiniest little thing that has to get fixed. I'm gonna check the chat to see what you crazy dudes are talking about. That stuff. HEMA. Historic European martial arts. Wicked cool. Oh god, that'd be a lot of fun to know. I saw some interesting thing on fighting with shillelaghs in Ireland. Wicked cool. Like they got skills. They got techniques for that. Splattercat says it runs the gamut from German, French, Italian, and Spanish fighting styles from the 1500s to the 1700s. And depending on what group you're with. You're so freaking lucky to be able to do that, man. I wish there was something like that near where I live. The closest thing that we have is, do you ever hear of the Society of Creative Anachronisms? It's essentially the Renaissance Fair people. I won't go too much into how I know them or whatever. But I went to one of their events a couple of years ago, I guess, and they had I don't even know what to call it. They just had like, like armor and like swords and cudgels and they're blunt in the regard that you're not going to cut each other. It's some kind of padding or whatever, and they just sparred with the stuff. And sparring, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't call it sparring again. They would sort of fight with it, and I loved it. I'm like, oh, I really want to do this. I remember like kind of hanging out, and granted, it's unfair because like I actually know how to use certain weapons from my background in Kung Fu. And I could tell that these guys were really just whacking away at each other. They weren't actually. I didn't see a lot of skill. Like I could see some people knew some things. Like, okay, this guy's using some kind of techniques here or there. But overall, it was very amateurish, I guess. Still cool and fun, and I'm not like sort of trying to criticize it or whatever. But I remember the one dude, like I'm waiting to go and do the thing because there's like a waiting list or something. And I asked him, yeah, I'd like to do this. And the dude looks at me and goes, so you want to fight? I'll never forget him saying that. So you want to fight? And I'm like, all right, if you want to say it that way, sure. But ended up I didn't, like we had to go or something, and I didn't have a chance to do it. Maybe someday in the future. But I mean, what a great cultural art. I mean, that's something that would be great to be, like say teach in the schools, like sword fighting or, any kind of like Western style martial arts would be so cool. And it feels like, I don't know, it feels like a lot of that stuff's lost to history or something. Is it? I don't know. But it seems to be. I mean, I don't know. I should research it a bit more. Okay. Yeah, SEA dorks. I know. Don't know how to fight at all. Well, yeah, I mean, it's fun stuff, but most of these people are kind of like nerdy liberal types, though. Green hair types. They're better at crafts too. That's perfectly said. No, that's what the surprise of HEMA is, to bring back the lost martial arts of Europe. Fabulous. The oldest manuscripts we use is from 1200s. Damn, dude. Ricky Cito. I want to say Speedo. Ricky Cito's here. Sup, bro? Just popping in. Hey. Ricky Speedo. He's just here to pop in and say hi. I think Ricky Speedo sounds cooler, don't you? I don't know. You let me know. Could be your nickname. All right, so I'll give Ricky a little look at the page here. What's shaking on this page? A particular template I need. So I got a lot of work to do. I don't mind streaming it. I don't know. I feel like I don't know that you guys would want to hang around and watch me do all this work, but I don't know. It's just more fun to stream while I'm working, I guess. You know, because it's the life of an artist is very lonely. Alone in your studio. Do you know, I got a question here. Do you know that energy moving kung fu, blasting someone without touching them? So, it's a big topic, and yes, the answer is yes. So, let me try to talk about that a bit. All right, so, man, I'm really good at talking about a lot of stuff, but I, for some reason, fail at being able to talk well about Qigong. I think because it's such a complex topic. So Qigong, Qi is prana, Qi is electromagnetic energy. It is used in Chinese medicine and Chinese martial arts. And you can harness the energy for martial purpose, and you can use it for healing. So, in fact, traditionally, in the old days, learning medicine, Qigong medicine, was part of learning martial arts because you had to heal your fellow soldiers who got injured on the battlefield. Kung Fu is for war. It's not for profit. It's not for, whatever bullshit you can think of. Like yes, today it's cultural and da 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 da, but its evolution was through 5,000 years of war. So the medicinal side of it is found in acupuncture, acupressure. The martial side of it is found in things like what you're talking about. So, can you physically move things from a distance? Yes and no. Meaning you can move. You're not trying to it's not like a cartoon where you're blasting somebody with chi and they're flying across the room. If you're touching them, you can do that. But if they're, a few feet away from you and you project chi at them, it's not going to work like that. As I said, if you have physical contact with them, yes, you can. And I've seen my My teacher in Taiwan, who was a master of Qigong, I saw him throw guys 10, 12 feet just through Qi. And it's pretty flippy to watch. It's pretty freaky to watch. Because you're seeing something that doesn't make sense to your eye, but yet it just happened, But as far as like for example, so when I was learning brick breaking, we one of the things that you do is you have like a little candle and you light it with a lighter. You go through a very long, difficult Qigong meditation practice, which takes like an intense amount of concentration. It's not easy. And then once your body is primed up, then you project Qi with your hand to the candle. And if you can blow out the candle that way, then that's how you're making progress. So you light it, you project the Qi until you blow it out, and then you light it again and you step back a little bit and you do it, you keep projecting the Qi until you blow the candle out, light the candle, step back a little bit more, and you just keep doing that and you keep stepping back and keep stepping back. I've seen a guy do it from like 15 feet away. He can, shoot Qi out of his hand and knock a candle out. That's freaking super high level. That's like, and you guys are like, oh great, you can put candles out. All right, like, but that's not the point of it. That's just it's like, it's a kind of an exercise, and then you would, use that ability for projecting Qi into people, in a deadly way. Like we just discussed this like not long ago. You can push it into people's organs and make their organs fail. You can make people pass out. You can. It's used to kill. And there's types of qigong where if you don't practice it properly, you can't touch anyone anymore. Like you have to wear gloves all the time, because if you do touch somebody, you'll poison them and kill them. That's like pretty crazy shit, but like that exists. And like the teachers are extremely like, don't do this wrong. This is not a joke. They don't just fucking teach it to anybody. It's not. It's highly secretive. Yeah, the Chinese and probably a lot of other people are known for embellishing and legends and this and that. But it's not until you actually see these things with your own eyes, or you feel them yourself, that it becomes real. Because to perceive is to believe. I don't blame these like hard-ass martial arts guys that laugh at Kung Fu and that disrespect Kung Fu, because they never felt it. They don't know how can they know? It's not fair to expect them to respect things like that. What I don't like is when you see all these fake like martial arts videos where it's like, Jeet Kune Do guy goes against Kung Fu guy, and then like sweeps the floor with him, and like, see, we told you that's just a bunch of hoopla. It's that shit that pisses me off like crazy. When you've been in this for 25 years, and then someone questions you like, what does that mean? Like, are you sure that you know martial arts? You want to fucking cut their head off, You're like, fuck you, you piece of shit. You don't know me. You don't know what I do. I wouldn't dare judge you like that. What the fuck makes you think you can talk to me like that? So you just can't talk to people like that, because But it's also not fair to get angry at them because, like, how the hell would they know? You know? So you see what I'm saying? So what are you gonna do? Um, it's hard enough just to climb the ladder inside the Chinese Kung Fu community, just to get, number one, to find an authentic teacher, and then number two, to work years at a time to gain their trust. And then in my case, I experienced racism for being white, and like, we can't let a white guy know this stuff. We can't, you know, we're not gonna show him our secrets, you know. There was, you know, I had, like, when I went to Taiwan, I had just done 3 years of Shaolin Kung Fu, and I was like tight as hell. It was like Olympic level martial arts, you know. Granted, I did break my knee and I had limitations, but I was able to pull myself back to some level of like competency that was, I still knew the techniques. It was just a matter of healing to the point where I could get back to work, you know. And so I joined this Long Fist school. It was Long Fist and Hung Gar and Tai Chi. And when we would do the forms, I would do the forms like they were Shaolin forms, which is very different from any other. There's a way of doing things. It's hard to explain. I mean, if you look at, say, the way a karate guy moves compared to, say, a Tai Chi guy moves, you can tell there's like a fucking huge difference in the energy that they're producing. So I'm blasting out like super high powered moves because I'm applying the principles of Shaolin to this other style. And everybody in the school, and these are like Taiwanese people, and they're like, what the fuck? How did you do that? You know, like, what, you're why are you so powerful? How did this? And I just said, you know, Shaolin, you know, it's Shaolin. Well, I'm a student there. I'm not a teacher, right? And one of the assistant teachers did not fucking like that. He did not fucking like that. And so, you know, he was sort of assigned to me as like, you know, he's, you know, as I'm learning my forms and whatnot, um, you know, he's the guy. I wouldn't say he was assigned to me. He was like the guy that was there at the time that I went, put it more like that. So he wasn't the only teacher at the time, but I just seemed to get him all the time. Long story short, I'd learn a form and I'd learn the fuck out of that form. Like, I'd master it, you know. And then, okay, show me the form, you know, and then I would do it beautifully, and he'd be like, nah, start over, do it again, no, do it again. And I got visibly angry at him, like, this is fucking right. You move me on to the next form. You know, there's no way I can keep doing this damn form and it's gonna get any better than it is. You're fucking with me, you know. And I got visibly angry. I was younger. Not a good thing to do in a kung fu school in a foreign country, but fortunately, the other teacher there, he could kind of see what was brewing. And here's the thing: then one day, and this is kind of one of my big, it's not a secret, but it's not a story I've told. Put it that way. So one day there was another student that had to do a test, and you know, I found out, oh, you know, so and so's doing his test today, and during the test he has to spar. And I'm like, oh, well, I totally want to see that. You know, I want to come and see, you know, people actually fighting in Long Fist. This is going to be sweet. You know, I can't wait. So I go in, and you know, the guy is doing his test, da da da, and then, you know, like, a more advanced student steps up and he's got to spar that guy. It was awful. It was like horrible, and I was like, what the fuck is going on here? Why am I going to school here and you don't even know how to use your own kung fu style? What is, you know, like, and I said that to the one teacher who liked me, and he, you know, you can imagine, obviously I was a little like back in those days, I just shot my mouth off without really thinking about what would the consequences be. That's what you do when you're young. But anyway, he's like, you know, don't leave the school, don't leave the system. I'll teach you how to fight in Long Fist, but you cannot tell the master, or I'll get kicked out of the school. And I'm like, hell yeah, I'll totally do that. Like let's, and so we set up times where he came to my apartment, and then, he started kind of walking me through, the basics and shit, and something. So that's when I really got to know Long Fist, and that's when I started understanding this is actually how you use it to fight. So it's been really great since then. It's just been really, really great because, especially in America, nobody knows any kind of Long Fist, Northern style, anything. So I'm like the only guy out here that has these tools, and you know, you can sweep the floor with people when you've got tools that they don't know. So, and it's tools, right? It's not me. It's not like it's because I'm so great and I take all the credit. It's not that. Do you know? Okay, so did that answer the question about the kung fu thing, about the qigong thing? I don't know. I hope so. So another really great qigong story. When I was at Shaolin, my the Grand Master at the Shaolin Temple is literally famous across China for qigong skills. He's called the Iron Arhat. An Arhat is a Buddha. It's a type of Buddha who people in. Anyway, I'll just stop there. And Iron Arhat, that's like the Iron Buddha is pretty much what the name is. It's a kind of a cool nickname that he got. But this guy won the award like so many years in a row. Like he's like exceptional. And he can just do like. You can actually look him up on YouTube and stuff and watch him doing ridiculous qigong feats and stuff that are, really hard to even believe, frankly. But anyway, so he taught qigong, and what I was learning though at that school was at first health related. But then, like, once you get like that much, like if you can attain that or whatever, then you can move on to martial application. So, but as far as the cool thing, so we had a guy at our school who was a weightlifter. He was like a bodybuilder type guy, big muscles, really slow in martial arts because like the bigger your muscles are, the slower you go. Not good. Anyway, it's a vanity thing, you know what I mean? So, we would finish, say, the first hour of the class, and we're all just burned out like crazy because, like, it's Shaolin and it's really hard. And after an hour of going full throttle, you got like, I don't know, however, a couple minutes to take a break. Like everyone is just trying to catch their breath. They're all like, it's just, you're totally soaking wet with sweat. Anyway, this bodybuilder guy would go over to the corner where there were some weights, and he'd pick up the big weight thing, and like do a few and put it down and then walk back, and he had this kind of like, yeah, I'm better than everybody, that kind of that kind of thing. So he does that, and he's doing it like almost every class, and finally the Shaolin monkey got a little annoyed with this, and he walks over to the big barbell. I can't tell you how much weight was on it, but I mean, it was definitely a lot. And he bends over, he picks it up with one hand, and then he raises the whole thing over his head with one hand. And if you try to think of the physics of that, now you figure you're using, you're using two hands to lift the weight, right? You know what I'm saying? And so you've got both wrists that can, that can lift it, right? Well, he picks it up with one hand and puts it over his head. And I'm thinking like the fulcrum of your wrist holding an entire weight like that, like the power you would have to have just in your wrist to not break it or whatever, let alone your one arm lifting this thing up. Everybody in the school like gasped, we were all like like what the, and then at that moment the teacher started laughing and he says strength is not in the muscles, it's in chi. Like true strength, it's true power, this kind of thing, it's in the chi, and you have to learn qigong. And like when I saw that, it changed my life. I was like, that's I no longer sort of believe in like muscle power. You know what I'm saying? And like everybody in the martial arts just invests all their time into muscle power. I know, of course they do. Like what else is there, right? That's the only thing we know. So pretty wild stuff. Pretty wild stuff. I've seen even more crazy shit than that too. But anyway. That was such a great time in my life, man. I miss that a lot. That's kind of part of why I was like, hey, maybe I should check out this Kung Fu teacher, just the joy of learning Chinese martial arts. It's just a really enjoyable thing to do. But then having to do it within the context of one of these like McMartial Art Dojo bullshit companies, like, I don't know if I could do that, it's kind of like, and especially since it's like, learn all these techniques and then pay for the belt. I'm not gonna pay for a fucking belt, unless it holds up my pants. I don't need it. I don't need that. But, and I asked the guy too. I was like, "Hey, man, I've already been doing this for 25 years. Can we hang out? Like, could we just like spar, play, have fun, work out, and like." And again, I don't blame him for sort of like, I don't know you from Adam. You're just some guy on the call. Like how do I know you're not a psycho? Oh well, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? So this looks kind of done-ish here. I think this page is done-ish. What time is it right now? Can't tell. Oh, 9:30. I'm still wide awake. And I got a lot of work to do. Yes, I did. Thanks. Okay. It looks like the stream is. Oh no. Okay. So next page. Waldo. I feel like I'm running out of things to talk about, though. You know what, gents? I think I'm going to leave it here. It's been 149, 150 minutes and a second here. So, you guys keep on rocking in the free world. More stuff to come. Thank you so much for hanging and making it a fun show. and I'll see you next time. Keep on rocking in the free world.